Good morning, good morning. Let's talk about, today is day 6, and what I'm going to share with you today is extremely vital, and I'm going to explain to you the why behind it. Remember, knowing the why clarifies so much in every area. Understanding the why behind it is going to help you actually show up for your life and show up for yourself and follow through on these things. So I was driving so I've been spending like my mornings at the beach just thinking and writing. And one morning after doing that, I left and I was driving down the road, and I had this moment where I was like, what is it? What is one of the most like pivotal things in my life? And it was that I had been able to break out of the cycle of commit, quit, feel like shit. And let me tell you, I had a whole story about the why. That was my blueprint, the story of why I was that way. And it was like I went to battle to prove that that story was true, not just with other people, but in my own mind. It is so key to recognize what is going on in your own head and in your thoughts. So as I was driving down the road, I'm asking myself, I'm contemplating, what is it that really was the shift? Like, what is it that I do now that was so different from what I did before? And it just like, it was like bang, 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 bang. It was literally these 7 things that I'm going through with you right now. And so just the recap here. So understanding the motivational triad of pain, pleasure, and ease, right? So this is just the way our brains are created and wired for survival. And our brains are a tool that we have to use on this earth. So pain, pleasure, and ease. Then we have removing the shoulds. So this is how you create a lasting habit. This is how you break that cycle of commit, quit, feel like shit. This is how you kickstart your life into the direction of achieving your goals. So understanding that motivational triad, removing the shoulds, and deciding the wants and the desires. Using desire, don't let it use you. Understanding that, connecting to your why, connecting to the why it matters, 7 layers deep. If you have not done that exercise, if you guys are struggling in any area, if you guys are stuck, if you maybe haven't taken any action, it's totally okay. Just pick up where you are right now, today. But if you're struggling, shoot me a message. Being able to connect and know your why and understanding your blueprint, your life circumstance, and the gap. Yesterday we talked about focus, the power of focus, how to use focus, and the things that you choose to focus on. Your life is made up of the decisions that you make. And so what you decide to focus on is going to be the direction that you head. Today, so this is literally like I was driving on the road, and these are the things that came to me, is that I understand the motivational triad. I removed the shoulds and I made a decision on what it was that I wanted. I understood desire and how to decrease and increase my desire. So I want to use my desire to draw me like a magnet to the goals that I have. And then I connect to, and I know my why, and I connect to it. It's what fuels me. It's one of those ingredients that it's like that seed that you don't just water once. It's got to be consistent. You have to understand how to use it, and then continue to use it and tweak it as you go. So, and then understanding your blueprint, the gap, and life circumstance. That's another part of my whole breaking the cycle, and the power of focus. This next one is vital. And this is something I dealt with for many years. For many years, I was in an extremely abusive relationship. And there was a lot of wounds, a lot of pain, a lot of shame that I hid from the outside world. I hid it because I was ashamed of it, right? When you are ashamed, it's like you don't want anybody to see that. And so you don't show up vulnerable, and you don't show up in the full capacity of who you are. And it wasn't until I was able to work through that stuff that I was able to break free. But the abusive relationship that I was in was with myself. It was not with somebody else. And I didn't even realize what I had been doing and the magnitude of it. So you can't change something unless you're aware of it. And so first becoming aware of it, because this is what people do. They become aware of it, and then they beat themselves up even more for having these thoughts of like, I'm not good enough. I'll never be able to do this. I've been trying for so long. Look at my past and my track record, all of that. And we just, like, our brains just want to go around that same pattern of thinking over and over and over again. And me believing, this was such a great breakthrough for me. It was like everything, the way that my emotional home was scarcity. It was lack. It was not enough. Everything was centered around, I never had enough time. I never had enough money. I never had enough knowledge to put my voice out there. I just was never enough. It was this belief system that was so ingrained in me. And like I said, you can't change something unless you're aware of it. And I saw glimpses of it. I understood it. But it wasn't until one day I was like, enough is enough. And I don't know if my mom used to always say to me, enough is enough. When I was like wild and crazy and wouldn't stop doing what I was doing. And she had asked me 10 times. But she would say, enough is enough. And one day I was like, enough is enough. I am so done with this. I'm done. So when we're talking about the absolute must in your life and the absolute must nots, mine was like, enough is enough. There's no more of this not enough thinking. I'm done with it. It's like absolutely line in the sand. I'm done. And so it doesn't mean my brain doesn't want to keep thinking it, because it's that rut, it's the neural pathway, it's the blueprint. And so my brain wants to take me back there, but I notice it's like, those signs that have the words that cross through, and it's like they just keep going around, right? That's how I see my brain, is that it offers me these thoughts. Just because you have a thought, first of all, does not mean it's true. What makes a thought true is if you choose to believe that it is true. Because you have a thought doesn't actually mean it's your thought. This is a really interesting concept. So you think about the evolution of our world and how long our world has been around. You think me thinking that I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough smarts, I don't have enough whatever it is, you think I'm the first one to think that shit? No. How many of you can actually say that, yeah, I've had that thought? Yeah, a lot of us, because it is just a thought of mankind that comes from a place of fear. And we think that we're stating a fact. And so when we do this and we don't question those thoughts, what ends up happening is they become a belief system in us. A belief system is thoughts that we have thought so many times over that it just drops down into who we are. It's no longer in our heads, it is in our hearts. It is how we function out of life. It's the blueprint. And so it comes back to, and this is like the whole thing about the seed, the analogy of the seed, because thoughts are like little seeds that are planted. I'm not sure where this comes from in me, but I have this response that when I hear something about someone calling a child stupid, or anybody stupid, but really when it's a child, that really gets my goat. But if I hear somebody call somebody stupid, I guess it probably comes from a place in me that I believed that about myself, and it was such a painful thing for so many years of my life. And so that it's like it hits the core of me. I feel this ping of pain, deep pain, and I want to defend whatever it is that is being called that, because it's just to me, I'm it is so not true and it's so damaging. And if we just take these thoughts and we believe them, it gets planted like a seed inside of us, and we live our lives and we nourish that seed. So coming back to the whole seed analogy, right? You plant the seed and then you feed the ingredients to that seed that the seed needs to grow. Well, our thoughts, the ingredients that they need to grow is we keep thinking them. We add belief to them because we keep thinking them. And when we believe in something, that is what we act out of. And so talking to you guys about, the whole mustard seed analogy and being able to understand the ingredients needed for you. And part of what I'm doing here is I'm planting these little seeds in your mind, these thoughts, this idea that this could be possible. And the belief has to come from you. You have to, and I will actually feed that belief by continuing to share with you and continuing to talk to you, and you will hear this and it starts to go, that could be true. It starts to shift your brain. It starts to shift your perspective. And what I want it to do is get from here to drop down into you, where it becomes who you are. It becomes your emotional state. It becomes it is your being. It is who you are, but you have to keep hearing it. That's why I'm saying about input and output. You have to keep feeding that new way of thinking, that new perspective, because if you don't, that little seed is going to die. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be things that come up that are going to be screaming, saying that this is not true. You can't do this. All of that old thinking. Now, I've been encouraging you guys to encourage others. I've been saying, plant those seeds of encouragement into other people's lives in this group. Be cheerleaders for each other. Give back, because that's all the principles about what we're learning. But this is what I want to talk to you about today, more importantly than anything, is how are we speaking to ourselves? What is it that we're saying to ourselves? Because no matter how much somebody tells you something, if you are not feeding that to yourself, if you can't get that to the place of a belief, then you'll never live out of that place. And the way that you feed your belief is by continuing to keep your focus on the things that build the belief, which is another reason I said no news for 7 days. That shit does not build your belief in who you are and your dreams and the possibilities of life. no, that builds your belief in what's going on in the world, in the fact that you can't do it, in the fact that, like, who are you to be able to break out of what it is that you're in and the place that you're in your life, right? And so this is the purpose of you feeding that belief and actually spending time doing that. I don't know if any of you are Bob Marley fans, but I've been singing this song all morning. Stir it up, little darling, stir it up. That's exactly what we have to do in our own lives, is we have to stir up that belief. We have to be continually putting in the right ingredients and continuing to feed that. Get knocked down, you have a thought that takes you out, you have a circumstance that happens and your thoughts are full of fear. You know what? You have to be able to bring yourself back in your focus and everything that I've been teaching you this week. And so when you believe more than anyone else, that's when you see. But when you have decided and committed and you find that resolve within you, that's like, there's no way that this is not happening, to plant down inside of you all of the things that I've been teaching you. Watch these videos over and over and over. If you have to just like watch them every day for the next 6 months, you might get kind of crazy, charity crazy. But you have to get that inside of you where all of a sudden you start to feel a shift. If we do not believe that about ourselves, we're never going to use that amazing gift and ability that's within us. We're never going to show up that way. No matter how much someone tells you. You see these relationships where the women are like, he just like, he keeps telling her, I love you. And she's like, I just don't know if you actually love me. And he's like, I don't know what else I can do. I freaking love you. And it's because they really don't believe that they are lovable. And so if we do not speak to ourselves kindly, if we don't stop this verbal abuse that we have, if we are not aware of it, if we do not see it, and then start to choose something different, because remember, not our thoughts aren't all true. They're true because we choose to believe that they are true. Second of all, they're not ours. They're just like these passed on ways of thinking that have been around forever. Everybody else has these thoughts too. It's like when you watch a TV show, they're geniuses at this. They tell a story that draws you in. They're saying words, they're saying thoughts. It evokes an emotion in you. And then you're sitting there crying. It's a friggin' TV show, right? That is exactly what goes on in our brains. We have these thoughts that we don't question. We just believe as truth. We then feel that, we haven't measured up, that we failed again, that we're just not good enough, whatever it is. And then we feel defeated. And guess what? When we feel defeated, when we're trying to go after our goals and do better in life and find growth, that does not lead you to success. You've got all the capabilities already built into you. And it's about starting to learn what you're learning this week. And you start to build that belief and that certainty. And all of a sudden, something starts to shift inside of you. And you start to see different results in your life. But you have to do something. You have to take action. My goal, my passion, my purpose is to bring more love into this world. Love is the answer to everything. I am fully convinced to the freaking core of me. So the more I can increase love in this world, help me do that. Steering it up. We got to steer it up. Come on, all my Bob Marley fans. Okay, so I love you. I will see you tomorrow.